So, I think people that are doing 3 to 5 million and that are happy, this brokerage probably isn't for them. We are talking about introducing a lifestyle that's different than what they probably know right now. You're held accountable. You're told some hard truths. You're also introduced to technology and workflow that you may have not known about before, right? So you may think you're doing everything right. You're pushing business out. You're making marketing content, but all of it just seems like it's just at random. There's no workflow. And, doing it all on your own, that's a great possibility. It works for some people, but I felt that majority of my bandwidth, my mental bandwidth, was already being used to advise my clients, look after their interest. I had very little time for myself. I have to really analyze what's going on here. The more I get, I guess overrun with different clients and their needs, there's a chance that I'm not working on the back end of my business to make sure that the next 3 to 5 years of my life is good. So, and that's probably one of the main things that stuck out to me at Redefine. I really did realize, through some talking, we have a mutual friend, Nimish. I've known him since we were in middle school. So I've stayed close to Nimish. I saw his progress. I was like, okay, he's doing great. He has things figured out, and we stayed in contact over the 4 or 5 years that we've been in business together.
I appreciate you rolling through those thoughts, because that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned okay, the agent doing 3 to 5 million somewhere else.
Yeah.
At least for your experience, you were there. You had a legit real estate business, right? Yep. Meaning you paid the bills. You were able to sell some houses and stuff like that. Yeah. And one of our goals here is to try to create some structure and support in a very unstructured world. So yeah. I consider the residential real estate space kind of like the wild, wild west, right? Everyone gets their license, they do their own thing. Sometimes they're part of a team. Sometimes they're part of a brokerage that has training, I guess is what they call it. So how would you define or talk through the structure that was provided, and how does that work in synergy with the entrepreneur, right? Because our goal is not to have employees, our goal is to help the entrepreneur grow. So what do you think about our structure and the difference that you've had here compared to maybe where you're at before?
I would say accountability is the biggest thing here. You have to be held accountable. You're servicing clients that are putting all their hard-earned money into a purchase, and you have to be the best version of yourself to be really doing that for them. And so I felt the accountability, and off the bat, I think our first meeting, it was a little okay, it was really real, right? And I think as adults, when we grow up, we don't have somebody that is going to say the hard truths to you.
Sure.
Really give you an outline of what's going on in your life. And I think some brokerages with their models, they just can't do it. Not that they don't want to do it for every single one of their agents. I'm sure they would do everything in their power to make sure their agents excel. Mm-hmm. But it's a different model than what we have here. I feel like we're very close. We do work in a team environment, but at the same time, we are responsible for our own business. As an entrepreneur, I think that's very important. I think one of our smart buyer courses say that everything great done in business is done with a team, something along those lines. I might be butchering that. I apologize, but yeah, I was stuck. I also didn't want to be an island anymore at the same time. But
sure.
Yeah, I did find the accountability here was unmatched at anywhere I felt. I also think that we have some kind of goal, and we're working towards it together. Versus some brokerages, they have their own goals within their inner circle, and then everyone is doing their own thing, which is great. That works for some people, but here we're all working towards one mission. Yeah, and that's a really good feeling.
So our motto we always talk about, right, is redefine the way that you live, and with that comes growth, right? Yes. So like you said, if you're part of a brokerage or you're just you're doing 5 million a year, you want to continue to do 5 million a year, maybe this isn't the place for you, because we're going to push you to whatever your goals are. Right. And one thing that we try to do with our business planning is to define your personal and professional goals so we can understand where the target is. And everyone on the team is a little bit different. So it's not like there's just standard of you need to sell 10 million, even though we average close to 8 million on average as a brokerage. It's what is your standard? What is your, we call it life by design, right? So talking through his business plans, talking through personal and professional goals, and then making sure we're building our business to match that. So we say, okay, this is the life that I want in the next 6 months to a year, 2 years, and this is what I'm gonna work for, right? And then 6 months, two years later, once you hit those goals, to redesign it again. So I think accountability is huge, right? And so there's certain things that we do as an organization. We have, of course, minimum requirements and everything to like be on leads and to get certain resources from the team, which I think are very like base level. But I think accountability is huge, and that comes from not just like leadership, right? Like I have coaches and mentors and peers and stuff I've worked with through the years and constantly staying in contact with, go out of my way to text and call and stay up on their business and their lives and stuff like that, and they hold me accountable. And so having that as part of our organization, I think is huge, especially for the people that want to grow, especially for the people that are doing 2 million or 3 million and they want to get to a 6 million a year producing agent, or they're doing 5 million, they want to get to 10 million, right? Yeah. Those people that want to grow, typically we can kind of figure out, 70, 80% on our own to kind of get a base going, but to really take it to the next level, have a career, have a successful career, and really thrive, I think takes a team, which you mentioned, our team philosophy. Great things in business are not done by one person, they're done by a team of people. Yes. That's the quote that you're going through. That's a Steve Jobs quote, pretty famous entrepreneur created. I don't know if you call him an entrepreneur at this point, he created a multi-trillion-dollar organization at Apple, but I think that's true. So how have you found the team environment beneficial for you, or what do you think? Maybe it's not, you tell me, what do you think about the team environment that we have and how we work, for instance, with an admin team and getting your paperwork done for you and all that stuff? What does that do for you?
It frees up my my mental bandwidth. It frees up my time. I'm not focused on, things that are needed after the offer gets accepted or we get under contract. I'm able to quickly just move on, focus on my new business, make sure I'm available for those clients. I really think that having a team also keeps you centered on the deal in a way as well, without necessarily doing everything yourself. So I know when my inspections are, I know when appraisals are going to happen, but I don't have to reach out to the various vendors to find out. My team atmosphere, or the team system that we have with our transaction coordinators, kind of just lays it all out. And you stop tracking a lot of things that you're mentally usually tracking, right? And again, I'm sure a lot of agents will agree that you can get very busy and all that, and it can almost give you anxiety, landlocked anxiety, where you don't know what to schedule now and then what you to do, and you kind of almost spend a whole day over things that if there's a process and there's tools that help you stay on top of things, then you're not worried about it. You're kind of just done with it. It's moved on. This is no longer your biggest task. There's a team in place to make sure that everything's going to get done. Again, it's a big relief on you, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's good to hear that it's a relief, because I think that it's just a huge tool. One of my coaches through the years, they used to ask the question, like, when should you get your first assistant, or when should you get your first team member, right? And usually they recommend some type of admin as your first assistant, and the running joke's always been your first day. So as an agent, we should be focusing on prospecting, we should be focused on negotiating, we should be focusing on showing homes, we should be focusing on gaining more listings, right? And those types of important activities. We shouldn't be worried about paperwork. We shouldn't be worried about, is the title company doing this, scheduling certain things, right? That can all be managed for you. And so I think the thing that I found the most in this industry when it comes to residential sales is people say, like, I'm part of a team. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Because being part of a team has a very bad look in our business. Right. It's kind of looked down, because usually you join a team, you're part of like a big producing agent, and you said, okay, you're gonna join my team, I'm gonna teach you my ways, and then there's no like systems or processes. Right. There's no onboarding, there's no courses, there's no structure around that. It's like, I join the team, occasionally you might get a lead or something. If you convert it, great, we'll give you more, but that's like the definition of a team. Yeah. They might meet once a month, so we meet weekly for training on Tuesdays, and then we do every other Thursdays for different team meetings. We have more of a qualitative and a quantitative meeting to make sure that, like you said, we're working towards everything from that perspective. So when it came to like training, onboarding, obviously you're an experienced agent, so training as far as like it doesn't have to start at 101 basic stuff, but how was the training? I know it's a lot, so be honest with the people, but how was the training and how was that transition? Did you like the courses? Do you like the digital onboarding program? What didn't you like? Where can we improve? All that type of stuff, because we're always trying to do it. And let's be honest, like, what do you think? Because it's a lot, right? We hit people with a lot the first 12 weeks of them starting with an organization. So what are your thoughts on that?
It was a lot, yes. A lot of it is, again, resistance that you have. Like, I had a lot of resistance. I was an agent for a long time on my own, so I had a bunch of bad wiring that I needed to undo. But the main thing was I had to get out of my own way, excuse me. So I did think everything was a little bit too much in the beginning, but as I just kept my focus on the ball and just kept going through it slowly but surely. I made it through our courses. I made it through our onboarding process, and once you kind of get through, you do see the overall picture and what we're trying to get to. Things that we could work on, I mean, really, it's different for everybody. I think as long as we kind of assess what everyone's needs are individually, I think the system can work for anyone.
Right. So before joining Redefine, how many transactions roughly have you done, volume-wise?
In all of my years?
Yeah.
I honestly don't keep track like that.
Okay, so Matt's a multi-million dollar a year producer for many years here, and so he's sold a lot of houses. He has a lot of experience. But would you say, based on this first few weeks, couple months of training, it is truly different than anything you've done in the past?
Yes.
Obviously, it's challenging, which we want it to be somewhat challenging. It's not impossible, but we want it to be somewhat challenging, right? We want it to be different. We want it to be, again, so part of it is, okay, basic stuff that we believe as an organization, just basic ways of processing deals and how we recommend going to market, our smart buyers, our smart sellers courses, all that stuff to recommend certain ways to present to clients, right? But then there's all like the teams and systems and processes. And that's where I think like people like think they're part of a team. Yeah. Like if you don't have a specific way to work with technology to talk to the rest of your team, if you don't have admin support where you can communicate through technology on a consistent basis, where everything's kind of consolidated in one place and you work truly through that deal together, it's not a team. You're just provided leads and you have some type of general relationship of maybe with another agent. But so there is a lot to unpack there and there is a lot to get through. But I believe, like you said, once you kind of figure it out, it does boil down. It's pretty simple, right? Yes. At first it's like, oh, there's a lot coming at me. And then once you boil it down, it's pretty simple. We have systems and processes, we have beliefs, and we have different frameworks that we believe as an organization that I think are helpful. But again, not controlling, I don't think. The idea of like our top 50 program, which is our SOI program, right? To get you going on that list. Like a lot of people you did an SOI naturally, right? Yeah. You did a top 50 program naturally, but there's no structure to it. Right. So again, taking it from, hey, I stay in touch with these people, I get a lot of referral business, it works well for me, to like, hey, here's a very systematic way to consistently work that and track the results. Right. I think again, takes you to another level, right? Yes. There's an extra 20, 30, 40% unlock of potential opportunity, just putting a little bit of structure behind it. And again, a lot of this stuff isn't even from me. It's from our coaching programs and different stuff we've done through the years to hopefully consolidate, to figure out pull out the best stuff, the best gold, right? Pull out the best gold and provide it to you guys so you guys can succeed from there. So, tell me about culture. So, like, Matt's so serious on this, like this interview, which I appreciate. But Matt, on a day-to-day basis is like an awesome cultural fit. We have a lot of fun. Yes, he consistently makes me laugh. Thank you for also letting me lean into your fun a little bit. I think a lot of times, like in team meetings, Matt's one of those guys that can just like give him some shit and just like lean into it a little bit, because it's just he is a good culture fit and there's a lot of fun that we have. So we've done a few events. You were around for the grand opening, which is awesome. All that type of stuff. So what are your thoughts on just like the general culture and vibe and experience as far as that goes?
The culture here is great. You feel like family from day one.
It sounds like such like a templated question. So like you look at me like to the broker. The culture here is great. Like I swear, it's awesome. It's a great experience. I think there's been a lot of good laughs, man. And so like to pull out like a specific story, right? It might be a little bit difficult. Yeah. But I think that there's been a lot of good laughs, and a lot of fun there. And a lot of seriousness too. So it's kind of like this like balancing act of like you want a fun organization, but I think there's a place where like you can't just always be like hanging out at the coffee machine, always like by the water cooler and like always just having. You also got to like work a little bit. For me, I don't know what your thoughts are. Like we've recently integrated some of our call blitz days, and I think those are like super fun. I thought those would be like the super challenging thing to get everyone involved into, but like we all come in, like we knock out some calls, we accomplish a lot, we ring the bell because we're setting appointments. This is not something we're doing every day. We're not a boiler room type organization, but to add those, like a couple times a month and be able to do that has been fun for me.
It's been great.
Have you enjoyed that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if everyone is doing it, there's just that inner motivation to be like, all right, let's do it. Let's see where we stand against our peers. Also, what can we achieve today? And if everyone's out to do it, you feel 100% more motivated than you normally do to make those calls, to have those conversations. And doing it in a team environment, you also pick up things from the other agents that are making calls. Like, oh, that worked for you? Oh, that's great. I'm going to incorporate that possibly into what I say with the ones I'm calling, and maybe I'm having a hard time getting through them, and so it's great. You learn a lot. You could be in this business, I feel like, for 100 years, and you'll still learn something every day. And creating a team environment to do something like that, again, it's like almost manifesting success, right? It's like, okay, we're all going to go after it together, and we're going to achieve something good. And all of our call blitz have been great. We've set more appointments in those than we normally do on like our weekly basis, right? So it's definitely been a great addition to what we normally do.
Yeah, agreed. So you're at another brokerage, you're thinking about, you're just kind of like kicking tires. You're like, okay, I found some, so what we're looking for in the past, we always used to look for like brand new people. Cause I was like, I had this like, I think it's, maybe it was ego, maybe it wasn't, but I had this like this vision of like, oh, like this business changed my life. If I can get new people and show them this business, it'll change their life too, right? Yes. But then you realize that there's a lot more to it. So instead of having brand new people, like our goal is to help take people to the next level, which is why we have our 3-tier program. Matt comes with a lot of experience, so he started as a level 3 agent, which is awesome. We have a level 1, level 2, level 3 agent, and it gives you sort of like a natural progression to self-promote, to continue to get more responsibility within the teams and the brokerage model and stuff like that, which is awesome. But to me, it's just like those people that have a little bit of experience, or they're capped, right? Yeah. I think like the way I look at it is a lot of people, they might sell 2 million or 3 million a year, or even 5 million, right? Yeah. And if they could get an extra 12 to 15 deals a year from the team, plus maybe a little bit of coaching to get a few more from themselves, they could really turn into a 25, 36 unit a year producer. And I think that's the people that we can really help out. So there's so many people like, well, I'm happy, I'm doing 2 million, I'm doing 3 million, I made 56 grand last year. Or they'll say, I made 100 grand. I was like, how much do you make after expenses? I made 75 grand. I'm like, okay, cool. Like you made 75 grand, but what is your goal? Like, do you want a lake house? Do you want a second car? Are your kids, you have kids that you want to send to college one day? So what is the, like, how do you go from 75 to 125 grand? And for me, it's like providing real leads and real accountability, and structure in the unstructured world can help get people there. People wear too many hats as real estate agents in today's world. You can't do contracts, show homes, negotiate listings, run a Facebook page, run an Instagram page, do YouTube, do a podcast, do all your paperwork, do all your own negotiations. There's like the hats just get taller and taller and taller, and it's next to impossible. So I think we're able to support those people in a lot of different ways. And one of the reasons why I wanted you sort of on this testimonial type video is because it wasn't like you came in fresh and you just had a few deals under your belt. I think that you came in with a lot of experience, but again, a little bit of collaboration and a little bit of coaching and just like a little bit of a different mindset, I think is really, in a short amount of time, sort of like change course a little bit. And I think we're heading towards something great. A lot of times Matt's here on the weekend. I'm usually here on Saturdays hanging out. He's making calls on the weekend, and he was like setting appointments. I was doing a video over here, you're setting appointments, we're talking through stuff, and that's to me a lot of fun. So I appreciate, and I'm very bullish on where your career is heading, and some of the fun that we can have. And I think that, again, this structure has truly sort of corrected course. Not that you were like lost and confused. Right. It's just like, okay, you had a consistent business, but how do we really get that to the next level? And I think those are the people that we're going to be able to help moving forward.
Totally. There's 100% benefit to those people, and even the younger or the newer agents as well. But if you're stuck or not stuck, or you're just kind of doing the same repeat business, and you've tried doing, Facebook to see if you get a few deals. You did Instagram to see if you get a few deals, but nothing is really ramping up more than like just your status quo. And a lot of that, I think, is structure. Again, you mentioned we wear a lot of hats. One of the hats that I think is really important alongside just doing, sales is, again, promoting your business, right? Like, and that's actually very time consuming. And actually a lot of thought has to go into that to do it well. So a lot of agents have to ask themselves a question like, what do I want in this? Do I want to be this like standalone agent that's going to, reinvent the wheel almost and, just do great in life? Or do you want to be a part of something that's much bigger than just selling homes, and it's a part of like a lifestyle that a lot of brokerages don't have? I almost call it like a corporate lifestyle. I joke like that. I'm like, okay, but those are the standards. I think, if we're selling somebody's house or we're, helping somebody buy their home, we should be in an office space where we're communicating with our peers. There's some kind of accountability, so that way you're not just going out there, winging it with your clients, and you think you're providing the best service, but you really don't know because you don't have any accountability. How do you know if you don't have any accountability?
I think that's huge. One other thing this popped in my head I wanted to bring up. You had mentioned that, so although we cover all of Southeast Michigan, we have some good relationships out there. And you had mentioned, again, just based off your previous brokerage, different places, I think we're able to help get some deals done, and just like how important are the relationships and the people that we have at Redefine Real Estate, because I think that's a testament to who we are and who we want to attract, right? So when we get a deal, right, we have a huge opportunity with a lot of local agents of them wanting to work with our team, and that's because of our experience, that's because of the relationships, that's how we treat other agents and people and our peers. And so I think we have this like crazy opportunity there to continue to grow that, because when we get a deal, they could have 10 offers that they're looking at. If they know, oh, this is a Redefine Real Estate agent, oh, I've worked with them in the past, like it's been a great experience. How has that impacted your business, and how do you foresee that continue to change your business moving forward?
Being a part of an organization that one has been loved by not just like the agents that work here, by the other agents that we work with. They do like that we're on top of our game. Communication is excellent. There's no drop off here. There's never a situation where you're working with a Redefine agent and you can't get a hold of them. Right. That's just not a possibility.
Right, or you're not going to be here long.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which goes a long way. I feel like a lot of agents, depending on what your business is, I do a lot of buyers. So when a listing agent, I want to say, kind of hears that, hey, these are who these guys are, they will give us some insiders that they normally would not, and they do try to set it up where we are able to finish the deal with them. They know that our buyers are very well versed in the whole process. They almost know as much as the average agent does after we're done with our onboarding and their education that we provide to every single one of our buyers. I think all of that goes a long way to help the other party make a decision. And they say, like, these guys consistently provide excellent buyers. They make the whole process seamless, and they're very organized. Why would we not want to work with them? And again, you're on the listing side, Matt. You've got offers on a house that this guy's offering you this crazy amount. So it's not always price, right? It's not always price. It's also who's going to be the one to get this deal done seamlessly, without any issues, and great communication throughout. I think Redefine takes the cake when it comes to that.
Appreciate that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And again, that's just going back to core values. It's going back to being systematic, being disciplined, having a lot of processes and checks and balances so things go smooth. Like our admin team is I always say like we have all these great 5-star reviews, yes, and like we have all these sales, and as a salesperson you get all the credit, like, oh, you got this much volume, blah blah. Right. I'm like, I wouldn't do any of this without a team. Like I literally like the team, like Stephanie and her support team and stuff like that on the back end, like we just wouldn't be able to accomplish what we're able to accomplish without those people. And so there's a lot of times like where Matt's been here, different agents come on board, I'm like, oh, I know that agent, let me give him a call. Right. And it's just like a different conversation when you have those types of relationships. And so that's critical for us. Like I want people to look at Redefine as this is a Navy SEAL team. This is not like a huge recruiting team. We're not this huge massive brokers that's just trying to add anyone like part-time, not part-time. Like we want full-time agents. We want people that are dialed in, people that want to grow in their lives and their business and continue to excel. And again, people see that. Like there's all the heavy hitters in town, all throughout Southeast Michigan here. They have an understanding. They've talked to us. They've worked with Nemish. They've worked with myself. They've had conversations with our team, and they know, hey, all things considered, we're going to give them as much information as possible because I'd love to work with a Redefine agent. And to me, if we continue to have that piece, we'll continue to excel, we'll continue to grow, and we'll be just fine in this business. So what is your least favorite part of real estate?
That's a good question. I enjoy everything, I really do. But the one thing that if I could maybe give this hat off to somebody else, probably be like the marketing that you have to do as a business owner, the upkeep on what the trend is right? Like we know our hyper local communities that we service. Don't get me wrong. I can tell you exactly what a house is going to sell for in Canton almost, right? As a realtor, as a real estate agent, excuse me, you really aren't just there to sell homes. You're also there for yourself, to grow your business, to put yourself out in front of many faces as possible. That is a difficult job. I think it's time consuming. It takes a lot of planning, and if you're working solo dolo, then it's almost impossible. Right? You could do it, don't get me wrong, but like you have to ask, like, do I have a family? How important is spending time with my kids, my wife, my parents? How important is all that as well, right? Because this could become a very quickly like a 7-day-a-week job where you're working from 8 to 8 almost every day and maybe even more. And if you are going to do all that, maybe you should focus on what gives you the best results, right? So some people, they can open a brokerage and recruit and kind of just push these other agents out with their business acumen that they've created. And others, they need a place to go to and check themselves in, be like, this is what I got going on, this is what I want to do, how can we get there?
Walk me through the difference between you working with a buyer before and then you truly following the smart buyer process.
With the smart buyer process, our buyers are, again, more educated. So for me, it's less explaining when things are actually moving at a very fast pace and emotions are high. We're able to get a lot of information into the buyers' heads before things get crazy.
Sure.
Right? So we explain them the process. We have a great outline of how everything works. They get to digest all of that. And then when they find that home that they really, really like, there's no questions about anything other than, Matt, how do we get this home? They know exactly what we're going to do once we get it. They know how long it's going to take. And before I did explain to my buyers, like, this is the process, this is what the normal trajectory is on everything, but having it out and dialed and, written down on a format where it's digestible for every buyer, I think that's very good. It's been a great thing to have, actually. It helps you as an agent not lose a deal over a misconception or, oh, they think all of a sudden this is not the way it should go. They don't lose trust in you. Everything is down. This is how we're going to go. This is the end. This is the beginning, right? So
sure.
It works out very well. It really keeps you light on needing to constantly re-explain the process, right?
How do you think buyers feel after doing the smart buyer presentation and after going through that part of the process? Most
buyers have loved it. Every single one of them has taken something away that they didn't previously even think about. Again, a lot of buyers are doing this for the first time, or some of them are only doing this like once every 5 to 10 years. So it's all fresh, no matter what. And for them, having pieces of information that they can use to, again, look at houses in a different way than they normally would has been phenomenal. I can't say I've had any buyer that said this was a waste of my time. Like,
Right.
Sorry, Matt, you shouldn't have done this. Everyone has said, I thank you for this. This was great. We feel very informed. We feel secure with you guys. They know the level of expectations to have from us. So that way they don't think I'm going to bring a gold bar to them, or something crazy, right? Like
Right.
They know exactly what our job is. And they know where certain times there's going to be things that aren't in our control, but we're going to do everything in our power to get them the best benefit for it. So yeah, I feel like every buyer I've shown this presentation to has loved it. They felt like it was a great add-on to everything else that we provide.
When you first learned of the smart buyer go-to-market,
Yeah.
what was what I guess either one thing you learned or one feature that you're just like, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. I think that's like so beneficial to explain to clients this way, or
Right.
to what's one of your favorite pieces? Is it showtime showings? Is it bulletproof off? I mean, there's so many different pieces in there that.
It is showtime showings for me. Again, I'm one of the buyers, and before even explaining to them what a showtime showing was, we do so many things without explaining to our buyers that this is what we're doing, and they just think everything is kind of just happening, right? So when we actually explain to them, this is what we do in a home for you, this is what sets us apart, we're not just opening the door for you, we're actually in there spending our time with you as well. You kind of stroll, we look out for major items that are going to pop up on the inspection, and you may just want to consider that beforehand. Right?
Yeah.
And again, I used to do that on my own, but I was never able to articulately explain it to one of my buyers that this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
A lot of people do think we just open doors, and there are agents that just open doors. That's not us.
So one thing that Matt and I talked about when he first started, he was like, to him it was like he's done it so many times because he came with a lot of experience. So he's like, this is just like what we do. Like, I don't know how to explain it because I just do it and it comes like second nature to me. And I'm like, the client wants to be coached. They want to be educated. They want to know what's happening in the process. That makes them feel comfortable, right? I want my client to feel comfortable. I want them to feel protected. I want them to feel trusted in the whole situation. I want them to feel trust in the whole situation and trusted in us, right? And so when we're able to have them in that state, it's just a smoother process, and there's so much more set up for success, right? It's not like you're just winging it and you end up in this never-ending stressful state. Like buying a house can be one of two things. It can be extremely scary and stressful the entire time, like what's gonna happen next? I don't really know. Or risky. Maybe you're one of those people that don't get stressed very easy, and you're going through it and you don't even know the risk that you're taking on because you don't even know like the downside. You're just like, oh, it's fine. Like people buy houses every day. I'll be fine, right? So having that structure to me and making sure that they're coached and educated and prepared allows them to feel more happy along the way, enjoy the process, enjoy buying a house. There's going to be trials and tribulations, of course, but allows it to go smooth along the way and really allows them to truly understand what's happening, which I think is our job. Our job, we're not attorneys. Our job is not to give legal advice. We're not inspectors, although we know a lot about inspections and what to look for, right? Our job is to provide value and to continue to show them what we've learned and to guide them and coach them along the way. And so the sign of a good agent for me is at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the process. How coached are they? How well prepared are they? Are they like, I almost imagine my buyers being like mini real estate agents by the time they're all said and done, right? Because I want them to fully understand everything so they can make well-versed, well-educated decisions and not just like follow me blindly and not just follow the process blindly or be scared or intimidated along the way. And so I think that's like critically important.
Yeah, I would say that's our number one duty, is to inform our buyers. And that way they can make the educated decision for them.
Right, because it's like, it's their decision, right?
Yes.
We're here to coach and educate. We can give you data, we can give you a lot of different stuff, but it's up to you to make the decision. One of the things maybe is because like that's the Libra in me, but I love kind of giving both sides of every story.
Right.
And so that's what's great about a real estate agent. You can say, okay, here's the problem that we have. We have solutions 1, 2, and 3 on this side. And then everyone's like, that's great. I'm like, do you want to hear the flip side? They're like, of course. Like, here's how there's pros and cons to both. And you give them both pieces of information and they're like, okay, I didn't think about it that way. Like sometimes it's like a strategy called, do we counter this price? Do we hold tight? What does that look like? What are the pros and cons? Like, can we scare the buyer away? Are there backup? Like there's a lot of different data pieces that we're doing day in and day out. And when we're able to kind of give them both sides and say, this is why, here's my justification, but I want you to hear the other side, I think is very, very important. When you talk about like it's an election year this year, right? So you talk about like politics, or you talk about these very polarizing things. People, it's like black and white. Like I think this or I think that. And it's like a lot of times in life, especially when it comes to making these real estate decisions, there's two sides of every story, right? So understanding both, I think, is the best way to make the most educated guess, in my opinion.
Agreed.
What excites you the most about the buyer transaction? Like what phase are you the most excited about? What do you look forward to along the way? Just the closing, like the check?
No.
Is the best?
It's, to be honest, the most wholesome feeling is, we work with most buyers for a long time. Sometimes we get lucky and you meet somebody and we get them out into a house like within a month or two, but traditionally speaking, it's almost 4 to 6 months for us sometimes, right? And we've got to know this person. We're able to look out for their benefits. A lot of times buyers fall in love with homes that aren't for them, and they may make a decision that they may regret in a couple of years. So again, through our education, through what we provide as like our feedback, letting them really find that gem, is a great feeling, right? So again, we never push a buyer to go for something that they shouldn't. We always explain the pros and cons of every property that we see, but you almost see this aha happen in a buyer's like their face when they see that property that was really meant for them, right? And buyers are always online looking at properties themselves. But we always do deliver every now and then. I shouldn't say always, but we do deliver that property that we end up really liking. And I'm like, hey, look, I looked at this. I know this checks majority of your boxes. I've been working with these guys for 4 years. We have a good understanding of what their taste is. And then getting that property in front of them, and they're like, oh my God, yes, let's go check this out immediately. Let's see what it like. Let's see if we really like it in person, because there's always that difference.
Sure.
But it's that aha feeling when they're like, okay, Matt did a great job. Like he was there. And it's not always. Sometimes we go with properties they like, but it's a people business, and just having somebody really happy with what they found and feeling really content, I think that's the best feeling. I really do.
Yeah, I think people like a lot of times they think like we'll have a client and they'll be like, well, I found this house.
Yeah.
So do it for free. I'm like, the game is not like, there's the internet. Like you can find like 90% of houses, we do find a lot of off-market stuff, but at least 90% of the time, this stuff is gonna be posted on the internet in different places, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not about like who saw the house first. There's a million other things that happen in a real estate transaction. It's like the most comical thing when the client's like, hey Matt, I found this house. Will you do the transaction for free? And I'm like, so you're telling me that like 5% of the work is done.
Right.
The rest of the 95% of the work is done. We're gonna do it for free. Yeah, we got you on that. So there's a lot that comes into negotiating that house. There's a lot contractually to protect you along the way, making sure that the process is smooth, making sure that you actually can close in the house, the lending piece, the title work, all the back end, looking at flood zones. I mean, it's just unlimited of what we're really doing on the behind the scenes. But I do agree with you. There is something to say when like someone like falls in love and they have this dream property, right? Then it's kind of a balancing act of like, okay, how much in love are you? Because like, is this like, you're gonna fire me forever and you'll buy it at any cost? Or is this like, hey, you still want realistic expectations and making sure you're not paying too far over market value if you're really in love with it to shoot yourself in the foot for down the road, right? So those data-driven decisions are huge. But I truly think that it's so fun finding the right house for somebody. It's critical. But I think my favorite piece is like, for me, it sounds so weird, but my favorite piece is like, most of the time, we don't even get credit for the success, right? What I mean by that is like a lot of times the sign of a good agent is it almost seems easy because everything happens smoothly. Like they see a house, they write an offer, they listen to us, we negotiate the offer because they're following our lead, we submit the offer, get accepted, we work through inspections, we get the appraisal done, the lending, appraisal comes back at value, the lending goes smooth, and we close. But realistically, the entire time, it's like almost like a parent and their kid. Like the entire way, you're walking down the way, like pushing this monster out of the way and putting out this fire and like and holding a bucket so they don't get wet and like doing all these things down this like path of the real estate transaction. And the entire way, they're just kind of like cluelessly walking through. And like, oh, I'm at the end of the forest. But like through that forest is like monsters and animals and fires and rain and godlike things trying to like take over the situation and make their life horrible, and somehow we were able to navigate through that. So I think being able to articulate important that stuff is important to them, being able for them to understand it. But sometimes they don't, and so for me, it's just like when things get like crazy smooth, or there was this like crazy hurdle, and we made it something so small to the client, they might not even be 100% happy. They might be like, oh, that was kind of difficult. I'm like, do you know how difficult this could have been if you weren't through our preferred lender, or if you weren't using our title company, or if we didn't specifically find out about it 2 weeks in advance so you could push your closing or push your occupancy, so your timing, you could have been homeless, you know? So there's so many things that we kind of are working on the back end, which I think is critical.
A lot of unseen action, that's for sure, right? It sucks sometimes, right? Because a lot of people be like, what did you do? Like, did you just put the offer in? And it's like, no. We were in communication with like 5 different people for the last 30 days to make this happen, you know? And a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversations were had. A lot of times we have to do our, put our thinking caps on and make sure the outcome is going to be the best for our clients. Again, yes, totally. If it all goes well, it's seamless, and you feel like, oh, the agent didn't do a whole lot. But even when nothing has like kind of like hit, like a nerve or made you feel upset, a million things happen to make sure that this was laid out for you in a way that it's digestible and you're comfortable with it. A lot of times, the other agent on the other side, and all respect to them, they can represent their client in a very aggressive way, right?
Sure.
And they may not want to move an inch on something that is a big deal for us. So, being able to communicate, break down those walls, make everyone feel like this is a team atmosphere. Yes, it's a skill for sure that not many have.
Okay, rapid fire. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Ready? You sure?
Sure.
It's rapid.
Okay.
Quick. What's your favorite color?
Black.
Black?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I've never had any. In the history of the question, what is your favorite color? I've never heard black ever.
Black.
Black's your favorite color.
I want to say it depends on what you're asking me for. if you're gonna say clothing, probably black.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Right.
Black's my favorite color of clothing as I wear a bright blue suit today.
I do like the color gold as well.
Okay. Okay, this is supposed to be rapid fire, but you just threw me off tilt so hard. All right, favorite food?
A good barbecue.
Like chicken?
Chicken, yep, like hot dogs. Anything that's been like grilled is really good for me. But yeah, barbecue is perfect, yes. I love
Okay.
barbecue.
Favorite music or artist?
I listen to a lot of stuff, but typically it's like hip hop. Don't have a favorite artist. I listen to just about everyone. As long as it sounds good, I like it, you know?
Dream car?
Probably like a Lambo or something, you know, one day. Why not?
Favorite sport? What's your favorite sport?
I actually don't watch many sports, but football, because the Lions are doing great, has become something that I watch with a lot of my friends now. So
Detroit Pride.
Detroit Pride, and they're doing great. It's
Okay.
amazing.
Favorite part of being a father?
The hugs.
With the hugs?
Yeah. They're great, man. You come home and you have these little arms that wrap around you, and it melts away a lot of stress for sure. It makes everything worth it.
I think we can end on that one. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, man.